So, after a super long hiatus, I'm back. I think my last podcast was the year before last because I got tad sidetracked. I did finish all the stash that I was going to bust last year, and everybody has either benefited from it, or it's been sold, or I've given it away. But anyway, I was going to continue doing that, but then I got sidetracked because I did a fleece to jumper project last year that took up the whole year. So I'll quickly fly through that, and then we'll get on to what I want to do this year to get rid of some more yarn. So yeah, last year at the beginning of the year, I joined Tandwan Court, a Polworth farm in the Western Districts, and I took part in a course that lasted the whole year where I learned, let me just gather my goodies. It's a really humid, rainy, wet day here today from Melbourne. If I didn't say, I'm Judith from Melbourne. I learned to make this, which is raw fleece from the back of a Polworth sheep from Tandwan Court. This is a dark fleece. I took this and I turned it into this. I learned to spin. There's a frustrating thing, but anyway, I think I nailed it after a while, and I'm happy with it, and I really like spinning, and I can't wait to spin some more yarn. So I turned that into that, and then I had this. Let me bring it back. And then I had this, and this all I turned into, I might have to push my chair back a little bit. Let's see. I turned that into this. I'm not going to put it on, it's too hot. Into this, which was just a pattern that I made up. This is the natural fleece, and that's one of the colors I used. So I made that, and then I wove this piece, and I wove this piece, and I've still got some fleece left, which I'm really looking forward to making this year. So these two pieces that I wove are actually going to become what the Argentinians call a ruana. I'm going to sew up the back seam, and then I'm really looking forward to wearing this in winter. I think it's going to look fantastic. Anyway, so that's what I was busy doing. Long hiatus, but now we need to get back to it. I finished another project that was hanging over from last year, which was this tweed jumper, which I've prepared for winter this year. It's a very basic top-down raglan pullover. I made the sleeves a little bit different because I always pull up my sleeves, so I thought if I make a really long cuff, it might stop me from doing that. So I finished that, and I normally knit a pair of socks on the plane when I fly back from Africa. I had the worst flight. Ugh. But I bought some yarn from my friend Clinton, who runs Klein Toon se Breiwinkel, which in English is Little Toes Knitting Shop. And he dyes yarn called 2Dye4, and I'll put a link in the bottom if you're in Namibia and Swakopmund. He doesn't sell outside of that country, but here's the first sock that I managed to finish. You can't see what I've done with it, but I'm going to show you this when I'm done. And here is the second sock. These socks, when they're done, I've done anatomically correct toes again because I just like that. When these socks are done, they are going to be known as the Flying Tortoise socks. I won't go into it, but normally I get way more done on the plane, and this time I just didn't. So those are the two projects that I wanted to finish before I start this next project. But let's get into the new project because I'm so excited about it. I'll show you. You know how you have in knitting circles, you have advent calendars. And I follow a young lady on Instagram. She podcasts from Belgium. Her name is Main Vollen. Is this coming out the right way around? I don't know. But her website is, her YouTube channel is called Main Volden, and she's also known as Main Volden on Instagram. And because I speak Afrikaans and German, and I'm taking it, this is Flemish. Main is mine, and my Vol is my wool in Afrikaans, and meine Wolle is my wool in German. So I think she's taken the word Vol, which is wool, and she's turned it into something like a verb. My wooling, or my woolly going on or something. Anyway, it's just a guess. For all I know, Volden is wool in Flemish, but I don't think so. Anyway, if you want to go and look at her work and look at her YouTube channel, she's delightful. I love watching her. So this is where I got the idea from, because last year, every October, there's a thing amongst knitters that's called Socktober, and you knit socks during October. So I thought, and what she did was the following. So she had a whole lot of leftover sock yarn, and she numbered them all from 1 to 20, if I'm correct. And then she had a dice. Those dices that you get for like World of Warcraft and those kind of things. This one's got 20 sides, and it's called a it has a name. And so what she did was she would throw the dice once, and then she would choose a color from the colors, and then she would throw the dice again, and then that would depict how many rows of that particular color she was going to knit in the sock. And so she did that through the whole of Socktober, and I think she landed up with 8 socks. And because she used those 20 colors, and I can't remember what she did when she ran out of color. Did she throw again? Anyway, she was very clever about how she did it. She had 8 socks that were completely interchangeable. And I thought that was so lovely. And then the year before last, to carry on with my stash, I sat down and I wrapped up all my sock yarn in brown paper. So this has been wrapped up for 2 years or 18 months. I have no idea what colors where or anything. So what I've done is I've numbered every one of these. Okay, I've got 20 in here. And then I thought, oh, I'll just get some little boxes, advent boxes from Amazon or one of those places where you can buy this stuff. And then I thought, hold on a second, surely I can make a box. And here's my little thingy again. I found how to make a box on that YouTube channel. And the first one I made was, and I had cardstock, so I thought, I've got cardstock, why can't I make a box? Here's the box. It lives, my dice lives in here. I'm sure my friend will correct me. Dices, not a clue. Anyway, and I made 20 little boxes like this. They're just like this size. Each have got a number, and in there are instructions on what I have to do with the yarn that I've picked. Okay, so without much ado, so the way it's going to work is I'm going to throw the dice twice, right? The first time it's going to give me a number, and I'll scratch around in here for the number, and then the second time it's going to give me a number and I'll get the number out of here, and then this is going to tell me what to do with that. It's super stressful because I haven't only got socks in here. I've got beanies, and I've got, if you can see in the back there, I really love dolls. And I've got making outfits for some of my dolls. I've got things like make a pair of socks and give them away. So I've got a whole variety of things that have to happen in here. The thing is that I can't predict anything. So if I had to get one that said, say, make some clothes for Odette, and the color that I pull out here is just like, oh, really? I'm not allowed to swap it. I've actually got to use it and do whatever this box tells me to do. So shall we start? I'm going to start. Let's see. I can't even remember when last I threw a dice, but let's see. This is 18. So let me see. Where is 18? Oh, I found 18. Okay, so here's number 18. And I'm just going to throw this again. And it's got a little dot underneath it, so that means it's a 6. So now I'm going to scratch in here for box number 6. I couldn't find a house. Come on, 6. Oh, there you are. It's always the last one. So this is number 6. Oh, I'm so nervous. All right. So I've got 6 was my second throw, and 18 was my first throw. So whatever this box tells me to do, I have to do with this yarn. Fingers crossed. I'm not allowed to change it. I'm going to pack my dice away in this first little box that I made. So that can wait till next. And I'm giving myself a month to do all of this. So what shall we do first? Okay, let's read the instructions first. If there's anybody watching this next time, tell me what I should do first. Either open the box or open the yarn. Okay. So it says, so each one has got instructions like this. So it says here, knit a pair of socks from the attached pattern and give them away. Do not change the pattern. I can add yarn that's not in here, like if I have any other 4-ply yarn lying around somewhere, which clearly I do, I'm allowed to add it to that. So let's see. So this pattern is called Take 2 and Call Me in the Morning Socks. Oh, I need my reading glasses. Sorry, let me just stretch across here. So it says, Take 2 and Call Me in the Morning Socks. It's by somebody called Kristen Young. Sockmaniac.com. Take 2. This spring I bought some great hand-dyed sock yarn, and after trying a couple of different stranded patterns, couldn't find one to do the yarn justice. Solution: create Take 2 and Call Me in the Morning socks, in part because I was frustrated that the other patterns hadn't worked and could have used a couple of aspirin as a result, and also because the stitch pattern I eventually settled on was the lozenge pattern from A Treasury of Knitting Patterns by Barbara G. Walker. This pattern is simple, but the combination of knits and purls creates an impressionistic effect. Oh, big word that. Breaking the colors up without leaving strands everywhere. So it's an adult woman's materials, Monkey Pal Superwash sock yarn, one skein for substitute, or blah blah blah. I'll just use what we're going to open. 2 stitch markers. Okay, so here are some pictures of, it looks like a very vanilla sock. No idea what the pattern's going to look like, but as I said before, it's Kristen Young, sockmaniac.com if you're interested. Okay, now let's see. Let's see what's in here. No, please don't make it ugly. Oh, I'm so aesthetically driven. The thing that's good about this is, let me take these off, I don't need them anymore. It takes me forever to make a decision about what I'm going to use for what. So here I have no choice, right? Have to use this. And also, I'm always scared that maybe it's not going to be fantastic. But it does say I can give them away, which means, I don't know, if you're watching, let me know if you want the finished result. I don't know if anybody's watching. I've been away for so long. Ooh, this is, I don't know if this is going to be good. This, okay. This is some yarn from Schöpper, and it's called Das Paar. Das Paar means the pair. And basically it means I'm going to get 2 pairs of socks that are exactly the same. I better start them at the same space, or else that's not going to happen, right? So, Schöpper, this one, sorry, my arse, is Gießkannenprinzip. I wonder what that means. I mean, I can translate it. It's a watering can principle. But somehow I think that's supposed to be idiomatic in some way. Color number 2505. Schöpper Das Paar. I'm going to knit these socks. So I'm giving myself a month, and I will have them done. I should have them done. I should have the flying tortoise done. And then I think I should keep all this together, just so we can like recap. And the other thing, because I have so much yarn, it's too much. It's just too much. Because I have so much yarn, I'm not allowed to buy any yarn this year. I'm really going to be super strict. But then when I got back from holiday, as I walked into the shop, I work at Wonderflex in Melbourne Road, which is in Melbourne. As I walk in to my boss's office, there's this whole stack of luminous small 50-gram balls of yarn. And I thought, oh, what is that? So I can tell you what it is. It's called Schöpper Crazy Boys. All the colors in this range are very bright, and they all work together. And I kept walking past and thinking, oh, I'm not allowed to buy any yarn. Look away, look away, look away. And then on Friday I thought, I know how to get around this. And I said to my boss, do you think you need a sock? Do you think you need a pair of socks to showcase the yarn? And she went, yes. So I'm sneaky. So Anyway, I cast on just a vanilla sock, and I'm going to stripe these two very, very bright. And what I've done is when you change the color, I've done, so it's a 5-row repeat, so 4 rows, and then the 5th row I do a slip stitch, just so that that line between the colors isn't so hard. I only started last night. I couldn't wait to cast on. So hopefully I'll have that one done as well the next time I see you. And I'll tell you something sweet about this. All the names of the whole range, there must be, I could check, but maybe 10 colors. So I'm going 10 colors. And they all are the names of like real classic, old-fashioned German men/boys names. So pink over here is Willi, and green over here is Konrad. So I'm taking Willi and Konrad, and I'm going to knit a pair of vanilla striped socks, and we'll see that done, I think sooner than later. Anyway, I believe, I wanted to say something else. While I was doing research to get the podcast up and running again, because clearly I get distracted and then I get into something else, I'll quickly read you something. There's a thing called Podfade. I found it. I hope you can hear me from there. I'm going to speak up. I've got a big voice. So Podfade, that I got from a website called podcasthero.com. To podfade generally means that you stop your podcast all of a sudden and without notice. It doesn't end intentionally or wasn't planned as a limited series. You just run out of energy or don't want to do the work anymore and just stop producing episodes. And us listeners are disappointed. So my challenge this year is to keep this going. I've got 20 packets to do, and I really would like to share it with somebody. The other thing is also it kind of keeps you on track. I haven't committed to anything big this year except one course to learn to do inkle weaving with my favorite teacher, Ilka. And then that's it. I haven't committed to anything. I've had blinkers on like this to keep me from signing up for all kinds of other things, although I'm very tempted to learn Romanian, but we'll leave that for now. Anyway, this is all I have for you on this first podcast of 2026. I hope I can keep this going. I will keep you posted. Fingers crossed I can get all those socks done. So I've got 3 pairs of socks on the needle. I have a piece on my 8-shaft loom, and I have a piece on my rigid heddle loom. They're all part of the just using up yarn for this year. No buying of yarn, unless it's like dire. Like if I had to finish something, it would look ugly if I didn't incorporate something that I didn't have. But other than that, no yarn buying, no fabric buying. I have too much. And I know there's that thing, what do they say? Buying craft supplies and using craft supplies are 2 completely different hobbies. I get it, but at some stage you just got to use what you have. And I have way too much stuff. So fingers crossed. Lovely to be back. Hope to speak to you soon. Bye.